Lately, I've been trying to send you stories every day. But I feel like a large number of people who have signed up almost never come back to listen to the stories. I don't know where that is. Make you unhappy? I hope to receive comments and suggestions from you. And if you find the video good, please give me a like to give me more motivation. For those who have not yet subscribed, don't forget to click the subscribe button and press notification bell to wait for the next story. Now let's get into the story. Story 1. My husband is out of control with his sleep talking. It isn't just talking. He gets up out of bed and will literally be walking around the house doing things like he is totally aware. He could hold a full conversation with you. It takes a minute to realize whether he's awake or not. So probably the scariest thing was one night we were knocked out. It had to be like 3 a.m. And he bolts out of bed like I've never seen in my life, waking me up and frantically yelling, "We have to go now. We have to get out of here. Hurry up." I literally go into full panic mode and start trying to grab things and get my dogs, all while trying to ask him what the hell is going on. But he's so serious about this that I just trust that there must be something wrong, something bad happening. Within a minute or so, I noticed that as frantic as he was walking around, he wasn't really doing anything. Just kind of going in circles. At that point it clicked that he wasn't really awake. I had been woken up from a dead sleep too, obviously. So I started saying his name over and over and telling him that it was okay. And he kind of just snapped out of it and was like, "Oh, sorry about that." It definitely was the scariest time that he ever said anything in his sleep. Story 2. I was told by my significant other that I said, "Give her a lobotomy right through the temple." Story 3. My significant other said one night, "SHH, be quiet. She'll hear us." I'm asked who. They respond, "The woman who lives here." SHHH, she's in the hallway. Story 4. One night in my sleep, I sat up at a 90-degree angle and said, "Violence causes and solves all problems." I laid back down and said nothing else. Story 5. One night I woke up to go to the bathroom. As I moved to get up, my boyfriend says, "Don't go out there." Thinking that he's awake and joking with me, I go, "Oh yeah, why?" He sits upright, eyes wide open, looks me in the face and says, "She's out there." I held it for the rest of the night. Story 6. I woke up in the middle of the night to my significant other shouting, "Where is the head? Where is the head?" Story 7. My boyfriend woke up in the middle of the night one night and started chanting, "They're coming for my skin. They're coming for my skin. They're coming for my skin." Story 8. I talk in my sleep and my girlfriend told me this story after we woke up. I had evidently turned toward her, shook her with my face and yelled, "They took my goddamn arms, Johnny. They took my goddamn arms," before slumping back over. Story 9. My friend's mother used to talk in her sleep frequently. Apparently she was petting her boyfriend's hair and telling him all the ways that she could kill him and make it look like an accident. He told her about it in the morning and she just laughed and said they weren't bad ideas. Story 10. My wife has the occasional night terrors. One night she woke up screaming, thinking something was in the corner of our room. It really freaked me out because I woke up to her trying to escape through the wall while pulling her lamp from the socket and throwing everything off of her nightstand. My dog and I just looked at her super confused. The dog ran out of the bedroom and slept in the guest room that night. Story 11. My boyfriend has PTSD from his time in the Marines and what they did overseas. The other night I had my mom around his waist and he patted my hand and said in his sleep, "You're never going to make it out of here. You're just another casualty about to happen. You're going to die." Story 12. One night my girlfriend looked at me in the middle of the night and said in her sleep, "I want to tear all the skin off your body, then maybe you'll be quiet." Story 13. My stepfather one night in his sleep shouted, "I will kill you, you bastard." Story 14. A few months ago my husband was mumbling in his sleep. I asked what he was doing and he replied very clearly and loudly, "A corridor of severed heads." I slept on the couch that night. Story 15. The first time we ever slept together, I woke up to him looking at me and said, "Hand me my spear. I will kill you now." Then he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. I thought about it for about 5 minutes, deciding I could take him, and then went back to sleep myself. We were together for 6 years. Story 16. One night my husband sat up in bed, pointed to the darkest corner of the room and said, "There's someone there." I frantically said, "What do you mean?" And he insisted, There's someone standing right there." He then proceeded to lay down and go back to sleep as I used my phone light to check the dark corner. There was no one there. Story 17. One night I woke up in the middle of the night to my girlfriend saying, "He's still watching us. He has no eyes." Well, so much for sleeping that night. Story 18. One night he said to me, "They're out there with his eyes closed." "Who?" I asked. He shrugged and used both of his hands to gesture to the dark window. "Them? We have had people in our yard before, so I went to look. There was no one there." Story 19. I woke up in the middle of the night and heard my boyfriend mumbling. It was incoherent, and then all of a sudden the words were distinct. He said, "Sudden infant death syndrome." I was 7 months pregnant at the time. Story 20. My husband almost every night yells out, "Help, help, help" in his sleep. If I wake him when he does it, he's hysterical until I can calm him down. It's absolutely crazy. He can never remember what he's dreaming about. Story 21. In the middle of the night she looks at me and says, "Don't move or they will get you." The next morning she says she doesn't remember her dream. Story 22. Soon after having a child, my wife sat upright in bed in the middle of the night and shouted, "My baby, what has she done?" and then laid back down. Story 23. In the middle of the night I woke up and my girlfriend was staring at me, her eyes wide open. She said, "Don't worry about the lady in the corner of the room." Story 24. When we first got together, my soon-to-be ex-significant other would scream at his ex-wife in his sleep, saying things like, "I should kill you." Story 25. This wasn't a significant other, but a guy that I had a fling with. He abruptly began speaking guttural gibberish in his sleep, and then in his guttural voice shouted, "I saw him." Then continued the gibberish. Think straight up horror movie demon voice. I think the devil took over his body for a moment. Story 26. My ex used to grind her teeth, talk, and move a lot while sleeping. One night she was making this weird noise with her throat, and me, being a light sleeper, woke up and decided I was going to get up and go to the bathroom, when she suddenly snapped her neck and turned her face toward me and said real quick, "The witch has arrived," and then turned her face away just as fast and stopped moving. I spent the whole night laying down wide awake. I swear I almost pissed myself. Story 27. My husband frequently sees things in our room in his sleep that are not there. Giant spiders on the wall, snakes, squirrels. He'll wake up and tell me to get out of bed so he can find whatever it is he saw. One time he jumped out of bed and looked under the bed for snakes. My favorite was when he pointed in the corner of our bedroom and said there was a giant spider. He then proceeded to run out of the bedroom yelling, "I'm out of here." Story 28. In a cabin in the middle of nowhere, suddenly in the middle of the night, my significant other says in her sleep, "We're not alone." We were 100 miles deep into pure wilderness. Story 29. My significant other has laughed in his sleep. It doesn't seem creepy, but when you're sleeping in a dark and quiet room and wake up to someone cackling, creepy is an understatement. Story 30. One night my husband repeatedly screamed, "Get them off of me," while biting his own arms. It was alarming to say the least. Story 31. I'm not sure what's more terrifying than your significant other sitting upright and saying they're here only to collapse back into their deep slumber. Story 32. Waking up in the middle of the night and having him looking into my eyes and then saying, "I am going to kill you." Story 33. My significant other used to speak German in his sleep, so since I understand very little German, I would catch a few words here and there and ask in the morning. It usually was something like run or kill, etc. He had the strangest dreams or nightmares, I guess. Story 34. I talk in my sleep. My boyfriend is weirded out by it. One night I sat up and creepily whispered in his ear. Story 35. My husband kissed my forehead one night and then said in a really creepy sing-song voice, "They're coming. The terrorists are coming. Don't worry though, they won't eat you." Story 36. One night my husband violently shakes me awake. "Don't move. Do not move." Then he whispers, "We are covered in bees." Stay very still, and then turns over and is silent. Story 37. My brother and I shared a room growing up. I would always wake him up with my sleep talking, so he convinced my dad to record me in my sleep. I said one very clear and loud sentence that night: "Go until you die." No clue what I was dreaming about. Story 38. My ex once asked me in her sleep, "Do you see them?" I whispered, "Who?" And then she responded, "The children." Story 39. This wasn't talking in your sleep but laughing. My husband has on more than one occasion laughed in his sleep, but it's not a normal laugh. It's either a lot deeper or slower, almost insidious, or it's a higher pitch. Sometimes up and down rapidly with the pitch. Neither laugh sounds like him when he's awake. It's unsettling, but fortunately it doesn't happen that often. Story 40. I had an ex-girlfriend whose first language was Welsh. When she spoke in her sleep, she sounded like she was speaking in tongues. Story 41. She didn't 100% talk in her sleep, but one night she was stressed and she had dreams about spiders crawling everywhere. One night I was reading and she suddenly sat up and just stared at me. I asked her what was up. She said the spiders. What spiders? I asked. There are spiders coming out of the poster. There are no spiders, I responded. She stares at the poster on the wall. No, the spiders. Go back to sleep, I said. Then she collapsed back into her pillow, back asleep. When she first sat up and stared at me, I thought this was suddenly a horror movie and I was dead. Story 42. My wife doesn't talk in her sleep, but I did wake up once to her sitting up, leaning over me and staring at me Paranormal Activity style. It was terrifying and she has no recollection of it. I guess she was asleep, but it only happened once. Story 43. My fiancée is Chinese and didn't have the best upbringing. It is common for her to yell in a distressed tone in her sleep random Chinese phrases. Absolutely terrifying the first few times experiencing it. Now I just pull her in close and cuddle with her hard when it happens. Story 44. In the middle of the night, my girlfriend once said we need to decapitate them and take them back to the lab. Story 45. My significant other informed me one morning that he had woken up in the middle of the night with my face inches from his, my finger in his ear, and I was apparently whispering, "I just need to get in. Let me in." Story 46. One night my girlfriend said in her sleep, "Are you texting demons?" And then before I could even turn over and look at her in a high-pitched laugh, she said, "You're friends with demons." Story 47. My significant other said she was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. On her way back I said, "He's following you," and didn't say anything else. Story 48. I'm the sleep talker, and the scariest that I've ever been told about is when I screamed, "No, none of them have heads." Story 49. My girlfriend never sleep talks, but one night she randomly said, clear as day, "Put it away now." I had nothing out and I was just laying in bed in the middle of the dark room. Story 50. Initially he would just mumble something I couldn't understand. He turned around to face him and asked him what he had said. He responded in his sleep, "Don't worry about it," and then laughed in this villainous way that I've never heard him use while awake. It honestly creeped me out. Thank you for listening, and I wish you good health. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you very much.